Welcome to Scarin' Karen's 13 Days of Halloween, and this is day 3 of Scaring Karen. And today we're going to talk about Final Destination. And once again, we're talking about Final Destination from 2000. It's directed by James Wong, who I guess directed a lot of Final Destination things, and I think he had a background with the X-Files, right? Mm-hmm. It was created by Jeffrey Reddick, a guy I can't wait to talk about a little bit more here in just a minute. And Jeffrey Reddick, along with Glenn Morgan, and I think maybe a little bit of help from James Wong, wrote the screenplay. It's starring Ali Larter, Sean William Scott, and the legendary horror icon Tony Todd. Any other noteworthy cast here? Because this cast is really your generation here, Karen.
I can't believe you didn't say Devin Sawa.
Well, I call him JoJo Siwa.
No,
I don't understand
not
that
even
last
related
name
at all.
But who is this guy? I don't recognize Devin Sawa from anything other than
So he was a
Destination.
90s heartthrob. So I'm almost 6 years younger than you.
Yeah.
So he was in Little Giants.
I didn't watch
He was
that.
like the main like heartthrob kid in that. And then also he was in Casper. He was Casper the ghost in
He
Casper.
was the actual ghost?
He was the opposite of Christina Ricci. And they actually just did a reunion not too long ago, a reunion photo of the two of them because it's like the 20th anniversary or 30th anniversary, something like that.
I don't think I ever saw the Casper movie, but I've seen like trailers and feel like I know what it's about. So I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Did like Christina Ricci and Casper have a romantic relationship?
Yes.
Is that necrophilia?
No, not, well, yeah, I guess. He came back to life, I think, at the end. But I don't know if he stayed back to life. Maybe he turned back into a
Oh,
ghost. So,
boy.
yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
Sort of.
love is love. The heart
Yeah.
wants what it wants, but try to date people who are still alive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying. But anyway, Final Destination made for a budget of $23 million, and it got a box office return of $113 million. Once again, we're about 4.5 times its budget coming back. That's the sign of a healthy franchise being born. You know, the studios always want to go back to that box office. So if they made a $90 million profit on this one, they're going to try to make at least $50 million on the next. You know, that's kind of how it works. Diminishing returns, you keep making them till you don't get a return.
Oh, yeah, let's go back to noteworthy cast. There was one more person. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I know some people say Carr, but I think it's Kerr Smith. He's he was really popular back in the 90s, early 2000s, too. He was in Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
So-
Was he from North Carolina by chance?
I don't think so.
I
think he just got cast in Dawson's Creek, and then I think he's from California originally.
I know where we used to live in North Carolina, the last name Kerr was pronounced Carr and not Kerr.
Yeah.
But somebody told me that's because a cur is like a wild mongrel dog, and they just don't want to be called that. So I don't know what the truth is on all that.
Yeah.
So he was a big deal too?
Yeah, he was the asshole in the movie.
Yeah, I know I know the character you're talking about. I just wasn't familiar with the actor because I didn't really watch Dawson's Creek. I was more of a 90210 guy.
I believe he was one of the first like gay characters ever on a TV series or something like that. That actually came out.
Oh.
I know that Ellen had come out, but at the time it was very like I think it was around 98, 99, but it was a teenage thing. So it was.
I think Ellen came out in like 94. So yeah, it's right around.
Yeah,
that
it was
time.
one of the earlier ones when I guess when people started talking more about being more openly gay, so it was more mainstream, I guess, on Dawson's Creek that it was introduced. It was a teenage show.
Yeah. I think it was probably received better on Dawson's Creek because I just remember media in an uproar over Ellen's whole thing when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the biggest reason I wanted to talk about this movie is Jeffrey Reddick, of course. I mean, do you want to tell folks a little bit about why I'm mesmerized with Jeffrey Reddick?
I think he's from Jackson, from where you were born, or not where
I
you were born,
grew
where
up.
you're
Yeah,
from.
he's from the same little
Yeah.
town where I grew up, so I get fascinated with that. And I never knew who he was. Nobody ever told me, like the guy who made Final Destination is from Jackson. I just kind of like stumbled upon it somehow when I was reading like the cast and crew and the credits and that kind of thing about the movie. And then I ran across that Jeffrey Reddick was from Jackson, Kentucky. And I thought that was like a misprint or something. I mean, that's like crazy.
Is he your age?
He'd probably be 4 or 5 years older than me.
Okay.
But everything I looked at, to verify, no, it looks like he really did grow up in Jackson. Mm-hmm. So this is a big thrill to me to think somebody from Jackson's making these cool horror movies.
Did he go to high school and everything in Jackson? He
went to Breathitt.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to Breathitt High, and I went to the city school. But I never met the guy. I would love to, though. Like, I don't know that he's really in the public eye. Like, he's not the kind of guy that I think I've seen, like, doing convention appearances and stuff. Because he's sort of a writer, creator, producer. But, and I also don't know if he has any family still in Jackson. Like, am I going to bump into him if we both go back for the same funeral or something? I doubt it.
Right.
But if I could even just get like a Zoom interview or even just like a phone call with the guy, I just want to ask him like how he remembers Jackson, because he was a gay black kid in Jackson, and Jackson, not a very diverse area, probably even less so in the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine how that might be kind of something some stories to share. What do you think? You think that might be something that he would have?
Yeah. I mean, I wonder when he came out as gay. I mean, it's hard enough being a black kid in Jackson, but also being gay around that time too.
So that's one of those questions I'd like to ask him is like, what was that like? And when did you come out of the closet? Did you have any relationships when you were still in Jackson, or were you too afraid? Or, maybe also, how online reports are, he might say, no, I'm not gay. That's just crap online. I don't know, but I'm just saying I'd love to talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Get his take. But here's the like strange theory I've developed about the whole thing. Is in my mind, I imagine he was so miserable and he was bullied so badly in Jackson, he would lay in bed at night and fantasize about horrible, agonizing ways for his bullies to die. In a way, he'd like to see all these people that he doesn't like die. And I think that all of those sick fantasies made their way into the deaths in Final Destination. At least I like to create that fiction in my head. It makes it more interesting. Mm-hmm. So he wrote a letter to Wes Craven when he was a kid. Jeffrey Reddick did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he wrote a letter because he had an idea for a Freddy Krueger movie or something like that. And according to the sources that I read, Wes Craven wrote him back and said, I'm proud of you, kid. Keep making movies. Make scary movies. I hope to see you in Hollywood someday.
Oh, wow.
And he not only did he make it to Hollywood, but I would say that you can see some heavy Wes Craven influence in some of what we're seeing here. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But this is the point in our little show where the opening yammer, I don't know, what do you call that? Yapping?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we got the opening yapping out of the way. I like to give a spoiler warning because I can't talk about stuff I've seen without spoiling everything, and this is no exception. So if you don't want to see spoilers, get the heck out of Dodge. If you want to watch spoilers, man, that's your business. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not your dad. So here's our synopsis. And I have a bad habit of saying synapsis because, like, I think of a synapse, like neurons coming together, but it's synopsis. I've been watching the last couple we done. I've been mispronouncing that. But here is our beautiful synopsis. A group of people appear to have cheated death only to find out perhaps death doesn't play fairly. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that synopsis, Karen?
I think that's perfect.
This was lit and shot very, very much like a Turn of the Millennium movie. The lighting, the costumes, the hair, the makeup. I mean, this is what I call the post-Scream effect. And it makes a lot of sense because we just kind of made a reference to the fact that Jeffrey Reddick, the creator of this franchise, very much looked up to Wes Craven. So Scream would have been the hottest Wes Craven property in 2000. So absolutely, it makes sense to me that the directorial decisions made here would kind of mimic Wes Craven's latest big impact outing, Mm-hmm. Any comments on you about how this might be kind of similar to Scream in terms of character, costume, approach? I mean, they're using big name stars now, or bigger name stars at least.
I think that genre around that time was focused around like teenagers. I think that was a big deal, like young adults, and so they used young adults in this and not,
one way that I saw Scream described is they took the things that worked well about American Pie and the things that worked well about Nightmare on Elm Street and put them together.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about American Pie when I
Yeah,
was
me too.
watching it too. So it was
That's
around that same
when I
time.
say that turn of the
Yeah.
millennium style of filmmaking. You're definitely seeing some Y2K here.
Yeah. Well, and with the teenagers and their language and stuff, I'm like, whoa, they're saying the F word like quite a bit. And I think that happened around the American Pie time when things were
Oh
kind of
yeah.
like in your face and like the
And
language and the sexual nature and stuff. And that didn't really happen that much in Final Destination. But,
well, the big 1-to-1 though is going to be Sean William Scott.
oh
Stifler.
yes, yeah, the
Stifler's in both of
crossover.
those. Yeah.
It was odd to see him play this like weak character when we saw this really strong character in American Pie.
You know, in there was like the American Pie 3, I think, where they go down to like the Outer Banks or somewhere and they have a summer at the beach.
I think it's American Pie 2 and they went to Lake Michigan.
Okay. I thought there was one. Well, anyway, I need to get like scenes of American Pie where Stifler's getting ready to get on a plane and then cut it into Final Destination
Oh.
and then have it end up at the end of American Pie
Yeah.
again. That would really be kind of cool.
You could see a little bit of Stifler, I feel like, come out before he's getting ready to die. And then he starts like his voice picks up and he starts yelling and he gets, he's a little more firm in his character. And he's like, I beat you. You didn't do this or something like that. And I said, oh, there's Stifler. And then he dies.
Oh, man. It was a pretty good one, too. Now, I'm going to tell you, I've seen this movie a couple times, but this is maybe only the third time I've watched it. And I had kind of forgotten about the whole investigation part, like the secret agents coming in to investigate Alex, because they're like, boy, it's a little suspicious that you got off the plane and then it exploded and then we keep finding you around dead people that were on that plane. I totally forgot how there was that whole level of this kid trying to prove he's not really a serial killer or a terrorist or something.
Yeah.
And this is just kind of a nice layered story that works on more than one level. And I had forgotten how this is pretty solid writing, and it's definitely not lazy writing, which is kind of what I would use to describe what we saw in Wrong Turn yesterday. It was a little bit more lazy writing. How did you feel about it? Did you kind of remember the various layers that are pinned into this story?
I didn't remember the FBI stuff as much. Yeah, I had to rewind it a couple times because I feel like I understood it more the first time I watched it. This time it was a little more confusing, I think, because of the things that I didn't remember from the first time around, because I kind of got the gist of what it was about. But then when I started to process and think about it and analyze it a little bit more this time around, it was a little more difficult. But
I get you.
But yeah, no, I could see what you're saying about the layers, and it really got me thinking too about specifically like when this was made, that it was pre 9/11.
Yeah.
And so I was watching like, oh wow, all these people are in the terminal. Oh wow, they got on this plane and this kid freaked out. They're like kind of throwing punches at each other and they're getting thrown off the plane, but the police aren't involved. They aren't getting like on a no-fly list. Like all this stuff is happening and they're still like there. They didn't throw them out and not dragging them out after all the videos that we watch of people acting a fool in the airport.
Imagine how quickly this would have been pulled from theaters if it had been released like September 9th.
Oh, yeah. It was crazy, right?
But it is, the movie's released post Y2K, but it's being made at the peak of this whole Y2K fear about all the bizarre and unpredictable things that could happen to humanity if all of the computers crash at once on Y2K.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a little bit of that existential dread made its way into this movie too, because I do think at the end there's this absurdity that no matter what you do, death has a plan and you can't escape it.
Right.
And boy, I could see that tension being built in with Y2K, but if this had been made post 9/11, then that feels more like The Monkey. And that's, I guess I'll go ahead and get to when we were talking about The Monkey. That was when I was saying I see these similar themes because they're both about the inescapability of death and you have to accept your mortality because you just can't escape it, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, do you like, or actually, I don't want to ask you what you like. The next thing I want to ask is a question that popped into my head for the first time watching this. But do you think there was an implied romantic relationship between Todd and Alex, like the two friends at the center of that opening scene?
I don't, I don't think so. But now that I'm thinking about it, like I'm trying to think back to how the characters bounce off each other. I thought they were more like best friends. Like I really thought all three of them were best friends.
Now, Wes Craven famously created Nightmare on Elm Street, right? And Nightmare on Elm Street 2 is considered a secret gay classic or something like that. Like, everything in it is not portrayed as being gay, but like, if you know, you know when you're watching it, kind of a thing. And then you take the 1-2 punch of Jeffrey Reddick being a gay man, perhaps, and being a Wes Craven fan. And I wonder how he felt about Nightmare on Elm Street 2, though it wasn't directed by Wes. If you're a Nightmare on Elm Street fan, you love that movie. So then I wonder if he wasn't trying to bubble up some of his own Nightmare on Elm Street 2. If you're homophobic, you're never going to see it. But if you're looking for representation, maybe you do. But the way that Todd's dad didn't like the two of them being together, and he's like, you got to get over whatever this thing is you're going through, like being gay is just a phase. The way the dad didn't want his boyfriend coming around, and they talked about he wouldn't kill himself because we were making plans for the future together. But, you know, in the context of the story, that plan was to take another trip in the future. But still, the words come out, we had plans for the future together. Why would he kill himself?
But he didn't say for the future. He said, we have plans to, like, meet up.
Yes.
They were supposed to, like...
I'm just sharing the way that I read it.
Yeah.
Is like, that could be read. And why do they have plans to meet up in the future? Why is their relationship so important? You know? And I just don't know if that was coded a little bit to try to...
I think you're reading into it a little too much. I think they were just best friends, and they just lost he just lost his brother. He's leaning on his friend. I don't know. I didn't get that at all. And then I noticed at the end, I thought maybe there was something between Alex and Allie Larder's character because of the way they were when they got off the plane. And they were giggling, and she like reached back and grabbed his shirt, and I was like, "Oh, they're dating." So I don't know.
I definitely got that energy at the end, and I think that was even like studio says, well, you got to kind of have the teenage couple hook up at the end. So I felt like that was sort of put in there, but I just wonder if anybody else has seen that relationship the way I did. It
may have been one-sided. It may have been Todd that was infatuated with Alex, and Alex didn't know it.
But I just
could have been that too.
I felt like the way the father was acting might be the same way you would act if you were homophobic and you caught your son kissing who you thought was his best friend. You wouldn't let that best friend come around, and you'd say it's a phase you're going through.
But the dad also told Alex to take care of his sons while they were on the trip.
Yeah,
remember he said watch over them. And he said, sure, I'll do that. And then now I also see, like, on the plane, was he trying to get Alex to move from the back seat to sit up there with him and have those girls sit there?
No, on the plane, he wanted to sit next to a girl. That's why I was telling Alex not to trade seats. Okay. So he's played very much as, like, a Charlie. Let's just say they're played like Charlie Sheen types, where they're publicly womanizers, but privately pansexual. Maybe. You know? Mm-hmm. All right, not to get too far onto the love life. I thought you would just say, yeah, I thought that too.
No, I totally didn't get that at all. Like,
so even though this is the first movie and we don't realize a formula is being laid down yet, a formula is being laid down by how successful this is. And we get that opening premonition and all the warnings, like when he's walking through the airport and the Hare Krishna kind of guys giving him the warnings, stuff like that. That is a lot of fun to me. And I really like getting to see... I just like the opening where you get to see how the explosion's going to happen. Then you realize it was a dream. They all get off. And I really like the part where everybody's calling him crazy and then the plane explodes in the background and the windows break in.
Right.
What do you think about that whole opening premonition setup?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I noticed all of the little signs. There were little things there that they wanted you to see. Like the flight was 180 and then the clock turned to flickered to 180. It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was like the one of those digital clocks. His clock said 180, and then when they get to the airport, I don't know. Was this a thing? I didn't think it was something that they still had back in 2000. The flipping of the boards. I remember the digital boards, but I don't remember the flipping of the boards. But they had that where like the...
I've been in train stations that had that, but I don't remember ever seeing that in an airport.
I didn't think that they would have something like that in JFK because I thought JFK would be more of a more modern, that was an outdated thing.
Here's the thing, though. Anything in an airport pre-2001, I can't remember because it all changed so much overnight. Yeah.
But I think what was disturbing and kind of set up the horror too was the flipping of it, and the shot was like far away, and then it would zoom in closer. Every time he turned and looked, he'd get a little bit closer, and it'd get closer to that word terminal. Yeah. And the very last time it said terminal, like a piece of wire like sprung out and went across the word like terminal. And so, you know, his face is just like, and the sound of the clacking of when the turning got louder and louder.
It did have a creepy feel to
it,
you know, and it
so you felt like something was going to happen.
It added tension in a way that like a digital or LED display just couldn't add it. So I do like it that they had that. And like I said, I couldn't tell you what the airport was like before.
Well, and there's September a lot of 11th. Like superstitions and stuff. The lady was saying, your boarding time or your flight departure is 9:25. Your birthday is September 25th. You know, and he was like, huh? Yeah. Like you know, there was just a lot of like some setups where things are starting to click for him. Like, why is this is weird? Things are lining up. All these numbers, like something about numbers in this movie and time. It had something to do with time. So.
Well, we're all running out of time, baby. Yeah. That's how it works.
Oh, the beginning. If you really pay attention to the very beginning, the opening sequence, this is something that's more of an early, like late 90s, early 2000s thing that you don't really see anymore. That opening like credit scene where it's setting you up to what the movie's going to be about. So they're kind of panning around into the room. You see the storm and then the lightning, and I guess that's when death actually like comes from wherever it's coming from into his bedroom, and he's asleep, and then the curtains are blowing and all the little weird trinkets and things that he has in his room, and it really focuses on the fan. And I think that's like an artistic selection, you know, with the fan blades are moving, and if you look through the fan blades, you see images and words in the background. You see death, you see evil, you see the books.
I kept wondering what was the point of those scenes with the fan and everything.
It's kind of setting up the lore about like what death is, that death is coming, and it's been there, like the history of death has always been there. And
your ears are better than mine.
It's not ears though. It's just images. No. I'm just like watching. I want to ask
you a hearing question. Okay. It's something you haven't mentioned. Sometimes when they would show that fan and start like the camera would be creeping around the room, I would swear I could hear somebody snoring sometimes. Was there snoring in there, or is that just my ears going crazy?
I think that was just your ears. It might have been just you.
Oh, I feel seen and called
I wasn't
out.
In the room. It wasn't me.
Do you like the mechanism of the death order here? Because what we find out is when the characters escaped death by getting off the plane crash, that they were able to reconstruct the mechanism of the explosion, and they see which order they would have died in if they'd stayed in their seats, and death is now hunting them down in that order. Yeah. How did you like that mechanism?
So I thought it was a little too straightforward. I think he picked up on that a little too easily.
Yeah.
Once after the explosion and all, and then it showed him in his room being obsessed with how planes work and all the engineering books and all the reading, and all I could think about was like, wow, I wonder what his search history looks like. And now I know why the FBI is really like looking at him, because it looked like he was planning something. Maybe he bought all this stuff after, but if they had come in there and seen all that, they would have been like, oh my goodness, maybe he really did rig the plane to blow up.
And some of the background on the creation of this property is that it was originally written and pitched to be an episode of The X-Files.
Yeah.
And with those two investigators, you know, it just all clicked when I'm watching, like, oh, I get it now. They were supposed to be Mulder and Scully, and they're going around investigating. His
last name was Shrek, which I thought was really weird. Well, like, who has a last name like Shrek?
A lot of these people are named after famous icons of movies.
Okay.
So the ogre Shrek
yeah.
is named after the silent movie actor Max Schreck, who played Nosferatu.
Okay.
So they're both named. And
well, that one the guy who played Shrek, like in that in the movie, was really odd looking anyway. He was unusual, you know.
And if you watch Batman Returns, Tim Burton's second Batman movie, Christopher Walken's character is named Max Schreck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Shrek's a pretty common name to see pop up as an homage. But I totally saw those two, and it clicked. I was like, oh, this was supposed to be an episode of The X-Files. Yeah. I'm totally getting it here. Did you like the lore in general? Like, death has a design. I mean, that is the central lore. Death has a design, and death's going to get it. And there were times when I felt like they set up the shot so like you could almost see like a little wave go across the film.
Every time death showed up, you saw this ripple. and it ripple in something, but it would ripple in something that would cause the death.
The part of the lore that really threw me for a loop that I wasn't expecting was early on when the guy hangs himself in the bathtub with the little like wire that you put your laundry on.
Yeah.
Well, the toilet water was creeping towards him like it was going to make him slip and fall or electrocute him. But then once he died, you saw the toilet water creep back in the toilet. I never remembered anything that supernatural.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that or not. I like it all just looking like an accident. I don't like the supernatural man.
Well, at first I was like, what is that? Because it was so blue when it was going across the floor. I'm like, water doesn't look like that when it comes out of the toilet unless it's got that dye in there. But and the way it just went across the floor made it feel like it was more like a liquid Drano or something, some kind of, or
even like an acid or something. Yeah. Burn his feet.
And so when he like slipped on it, and I don't know, I don't feel like you slip on water like that, but I mean, maybe on a tile floor you do, but then it was also in the bathtub, and it looked like on his feet that it was more of like a greasy something instead of water.
Folks, that's why all our bathrooms have shag carpet, 3/4 inch shag carpet. Nobody's fault.
Yeah, that kind of bothered me. I was like, I didn't like the color of that water. I think they could have done the same thing with clear and not blue.
Do you think that it was a good mechanism for how to defeat the adversary? Because that's a big thing on scary movies is you've got to beat the monster, you got to beat the slasher, you got to break the curse, you got to exorcise the demon. How do you win against death? Well, they come up with this idea that the guy was going to have his heart stop beating, and then he technically died. Like they're playing lawyer ball with death, and I don't know if death's an attorney. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that part of the lore, that he's able to sort of flatliners himself?
I don't think he meant to do that. He just kind of sacrificed himself. I think he said he was going to just kill himself just to stop it, so it would skip him, or not. It would skip her really, because she was the next one in order. But I think that whole scene was wild.
It was so wild.
I'm like, man, just die already. Like, it's chasing her down and she's getting away. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
James Wong found a way to depict on screen a person battling mortality.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the electric wires pointing him different directions, dodging.
It's like almost like a poltergeist, really.
And he sets up that cabin to kind of be death proof with the little lantern in the middle of the water and all that kind of stuff. It's a crazy ending. Mm-hmm. Did the tension building work for you on this? Because I got to admit, I love it. Like the kill we were talking about, that first kill of, was it Todd that was in the shower?
Yeah.
I love how it's like, oh, here it comes. Oh, nope, that wasn't it. Oh, here it is. Oh, no, that wasn't. Here. Oh, well, I guess.
Yeah, it did.
I love the tension building.
Yeah, it did, actually.
I had so much fun with this. I embraced the absurdity. Mm-hmm. I love good absurdity because I think life is pretty absurd. I mean, just look at the weird stuff that's happened to us before, you know?
Yeah. I think one of the most absurd scenes, though, that... in that same bathroom scene, was when he was reaching up and trying to grab those little scissors that he was clipping his nose hairs with. And I'm like, there's no way he's going to be able to cut that wire with those little tiny scissors. I've tried cutting things with those tiny scissors before, and there's no way how is he going to slip that up in there and cut that real thick laundry wire?
I was expecting him to like fall in a way that they just jabbed up into his brain or something. That's kind of where I thought they were going with that. How did you like the big ending? We kind of talked about the whole absurd sort of climax where they're fighting death, but I'm talking about the denouement where it's like 6 months later, and these jackholes have actually got on an airplane and flown to Paris, which
that's ballsy.
No, it's beyond ballsy. Yeah. I would believed it more if a talking frog came out of his butthole.
I would have stayed in my house. I don't think I would have been like, wow, we finally made it. Yeah.
I don't need to go to France. I go to Paris, Kentucky instead. I go to Kings Island and climb that Eiffel Tower. Yeah. I don't need to go to Paris if I'm going to get died. But
what did they do in that 6 months that Death didn't chase him and Death said, "Oh, I'm going to get you when you're out of the country"? Like,
they poked the bear by flying again.
Yeah.
But specifically, I love at the end when is it Carr Smith? I love how it's like, okay, he's going to get his right at the very end.
Yeah. Like he turned right back into the asshole again. He was real nice. He was like, man, 6 months ago, would you have seen us sitting here like hanging out together? And, we're such best friends now. And then when everything started happening, he was like, see, I told you I was going to beat it. I'm not going to die. I'm going to live forever. And then boom. And you know that he dies, but then you don't know what happens to the other ones. But if you watch the other movies, you see. But I don't think Devin Sawa shows up in the second one. I think this was his one and only.
I think I'm going to have to watch every single one of them just because I want to be a Jeffrey Reddick super fan. And if I say his name enough times on YouTube, maybe he'll let me get that telephone interview. I can make that daydream I have about a documentary about Jackson come true. So were there any themes that you think that were being explored here, either intentional or otherwise?
I think the biggest one is like, no matter what you do, you're not going to live forever. You can't outrun death. If it's your time to go, it's your time to go. So
strangely, too, I feel like there's a little bit of a don't be a butthole theme in this.
Yeah.
And that's pretty commonplace for horror movies. I mean, they try to build up people that you actually want to see them get killed, but there's...
And then they're the ones that last all the way to the end. Like,
and there's something here I can't quite verbalize, but I just feel like there's a little bit of an anti-bullying tone in here some way. And it's like death is bullying these people.
Yeah.
And maybe again, I'm reading too much into it because I'm thinking about my life growing up in Jackson, which wasn't always a good childhood for me. So I'm putting a whole lot into this just because of the Jeffrey Reddick connection. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite kill? Because that's what Final Destination's about. You got to have a favorite kill. And other movies have their iconic kill, but I don't, other Final Destination movies have things like the log truck and the roller coaster. But here, did we get a really cool kill in your opinion?
Okay, so I don't think any one kill, like one person in particular, stood out to me. I think the ones that did stand out to me was when they were on the plane and the whole, like, what he is seeing happening from his perspective on the plane. That was more disturbing of a kill, even though it didn't really happen because it was just a vision that he saw of him sitting there. The whole, like, how graphic it was with people getting sucked out of the plane and then the blood splattered across the wall. And then the plane blew up and he's sitting there and his face, like the fire on his face, and then his face melts. I thought that was a pretty good, like, kill scene, even though it happened at the beginning and it was all in his in his vision.
Definitely enough to creep
I think it was much more gory and disturbing than all of the other ones.
Definitely enough to creep me out. I gotta agree with you 100%.
I do have one though that's not that wasn't my favorite kill.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one that I thought was just stupid was the girlfriend, Terry, when she just stepped out in front of the bus and it just happened.
Okay.
Like, that one was like, that's pointless. Like, why was that one?
Guess what my favorite kill was?
No, it wasn't. Yes. Oh my God.
It was so unexpected. It was so WTF. I was like, holy crap.
I feel like you knew it was going to happen.
It was like something out of The Naked Gun.
But you saw
I loved it. That was my favorite kill.
You saw the ripple. You saw like the bus. Like he saw the reflection of the bus or something, like, in that whole scene, because they were having coffee, right?
Yeah.
So I think he saw the reflection of the bus. You knew it was gonna come. You knew she stepped out. I think that one was like, not that it was unexpected. I thought it was expected. Like, I knew something was gonna happen even before because of just the way it was set up. And she walked backwards. And what bothers me about that is every time they do a scene like this in any kind of movie where it's unexpected, like in Mean Girls, when she gets hit by that bus. Did nobody see that coming? They're all just standing there. Like, where did this bus just like appear from nowhere? Did this bus, like, did those kids not see this bus as she's stepping out into the street? Like, it doesn't just like show up and hit her.
I was afraid they were just going to repeat it because I thought Sean William Scott was just going to step into the train the way she stepped into the bus. You remember when he got killed and the train's coming by?
Yeah.
I thought they were just going to repeat that kill, and I was a little bummed. And then they didn't repeat it. That piece of metal flew up and totally decapitated Sean William Scott, Billy Hitchcock, named after Alfred Hitchcock. Mm-hmm. His head falls down on the ground, and it is 100% like old school Troma, Full Moon, Empire a mannequin head laying on the ground, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it when they do some of those obvious fake practical
Yeah.
effects. I'm an old school fan like that.
But the one with that same scene where he gets Kerr Smith when he gets him out of the car.
Yeah.
At the very last moment, I was really hoping that they'd at least had taken a foot or a leg off of him, because it looked like his legs didn't make it. I mean, the way they shot it, it looked like the train took half of his body off. So, you expected him to die in that one, and he didn't die. But I thought at least something would have come off of him just for being such a butthole.
So what's your art director's impression on the props and the setting, the dressing, all that kind of stuff, color scheme? Did it anything that stuck out, or is it pretty paint by numbers?
I mean, I thought it was pretty graphic. I think one part that I thought was really cool is some of the things they added, like the explosion, the airplane scene inside the airplane, how gory that was, and then the plane explosion itself and watching like the pieces fall out of the sky, and then also when his friend Todd got killed in the bathtub, when it tightened up around his neck and then his eyes turned red, like it got bloodshot. I imagine that's probably realistic. Like that would be something that would happen.
Sure.
So that your eyes, maybe, I don't know if they explode inside or like the blood vessels pop or whatnot.
And also, I say never let the truth stand in the way of a good story. So if you make it look cool, it doesn't have to be medically accurate.
Yeah. I mean, he almost looked like he was going to turn into like a zombie or something, the way his eyes turned red.
Did you have a favorite shot?
Oh, I think one of the coolest shots was probably at the end, right before Kerr Smith got hit. Like
my favorite shot is the very last shot of the movie.
Yeah, where that big grid comes down, and you think that something, he's going to get killed, but you don't see it happen, but you just know.
It's so rare that we agree exactly on something. Like we usually kind of lovingly do so, but we bicker like, no, this was better. I love it when we have the same best shot, so that makes me feel good. All right, it's time for the unavoidable. We have to give this movie a couple of scores. We got to give it a scare grade and a pumpkin rating. Scare grade is not how good or bad it is. It's simply how scary is it. Pumpkin rating is overall quality of the film. And I will, as we have done every time so far, put you on the spot to go first with the scare grade.
Okay, so I think scare grade wise, I'm probably going to give it a B. And that's just because, like, I mean, some of these movies are so old. Now I don't think they're as scary, but at the time when I was younger and like I was more the age of the people that were in the movie, that it was a little more scary to watch it the first time around.
I'm going to give it an A, and I would give it an A plus if the thing I'm about to reference was in this movie. But just based on the franchise as a whole, I don't know that any movie I've ever seen has made me as scared in real life as I get when I drive behind a log truck after seeing the sequels to this.
Okay, maybe the sequels, but not the first one.
But I still
we're great in the first one. Now the second one I think is scarier than the first one because it's more realistic. But yes, every time we get behind a log truck, we're like, oh, Final Destination.
Is it fair to say that I'm a really nervous-natured person? I'm always seeing like accidents and bad things that could happen.
Oh, yeah.
So this scares me.
Yeah.
Like even the guy who was in the bathroom, even Todd who hung himself on something we don't have in our bathroom, that stuff scares me because I just know I'm going to die by tripping and falling and having like a Halloween decoration go through my chest or something.
Well, I think people that are scared to get on like airplanes and stuff, maybe it would be more of an A.
You're scared of airplanes.
I will get on a plane now. I was a little more scared back then. I'm a little less scared now, but now, and that was like also pre 9/11. So I think like right before to see this and then to see 9/11, and then you can like, okay, that's really scary. So.
Well, so you give it a B, I give it an A, but I kind of cheated because I gave it a grade based on what I know's in the future instead of what's in this. So you can disqualify me. But I did enjoy this film thoroughly. And if it's okay with you, I'll give my pumpkin rating first. I'm going to give this 4 pumpkins, 4 out of 5 pumpkins. I think this is fun. I think it's rewatchable. I'd recommend it to anybody. The sequels get better before they get worse, even though that's not playing into this rating.
Yeah.
But if there's anybody who hasn't seen Final Destination yet, like the OG 2000, I mean, it's the 25th anniversary. Go check that bad boy out, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think I'm starting to remember that sign off.
Wait, I got to give my pumpkin
give your
rating.
pumpkin rating. See, it's all about me, people.
That's
it's all
right,
about me.
right. Just because you went first, you didn't let me go first. I think I'm going to give it a 4 as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty good. And I would recommend people watching it just so that they can watch the other ones. So it's pretty good. Yeah.
So we're 3 movies deep. I say I like this one better than Wrong Turn, and not quite as good as The Monkey, but it's close.
Yeah, I think this one stuck with me more than Wrong Turn. But I agree. I think The Monkey was a little more fun than this one.
All right, now I can try the sign off. Let's see if I remember it. All right. Don't give up. Make art. Enjoy art. Do what you love what you do.